Shalom, shalom, mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. Today I'm going to be tackling a controversial character in Nazarene Judaism and in Christianity, and that is Rav Sha'ul, or many know him as the Apostle Paul. Now, Christians proclaim the Apostle Paul as this great missionary who revolutionized Christianity, who clearly taught against the Torah, and helped bring Gentiles to what we know as Christianity today. And basically he rejected Judaism and all the traditions and all the tenets of Judaism. And I would like to dispel that utter lie and utter falsehood. 2 Peter 3:15 through 16 says, "And account that the long-suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, Rav Sha'ul, also according to the wisdom given unto him hath written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned, unstable, wrest, and they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction." Basically, Kepha was giving a warning about the writings of Rav Sha'ul. He said that Rav Sha'ul's epistles, his writings, were very hard to understand, and it took a very learned person to interpret them, and to interpret them correctly, I should say. And he said, even during Rav Sha'ul's time, they had taken his words and taken his epistles and taken them utterly out of context to their own destruction. And if Kepha, Peter, said that they were doing that then, lo and behold, they're doing it right now in Christianity, and basically saying such foolish things that Rav Sha'ul is, the Apostle Paul is against Torah, he's against Judaism, and he taught against the Torah as clearly in Romans and Revelation and Hebrews and what have you. But I would like to, as I said before, dispel those myths. Now, in the Brit Chadasha, the renewed covenant, we read in Acts 22 through 29 that Rav Sha'ul was a Roman citizen. Not only that, in Acts 21:39 and 22:3 we see that he is a citizen of Tarsus. And in Philippians 3:5, he was a true Jew. He never ever denied his Judaism or his Jewish heritage. He says proudly, "I was circumcised the 8th day, of the stock of Israel, the tribe of Benjamin, and a Hebrew of Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee." He claims to be a Pharisee here. In Romans 11:1 it says, "I say then, hath God cast away his people? Chas v'shalom, God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, and the seed of Abraham, and the tribe of Benjamin," a tribe of Benjamin. So he's proclaiming here proudly that he's Jewish. Acts 23:6 says, But when Paul perceived that one part of the Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in council, "Men and brethren, I am a Pharisee." Oh, hang on a second. What did he say? He didn't say I was a Pharisee. He says, "I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee, and the hope and resurrection of the dead. I am called into question." Notice, he wasn't called into question that he was talking or preaching against Torah, or saying that the Torah was no more, and that the Torah shouldn't be followed, especially by Gentiles. No. He was called into question because he believed in the resurrection of the dead, which the Sadducees didn't. So he was basically saying, "Look, I'm a Pharisee and I do believe in the resurrection. This is what I'm called into question for." Let's see. Let's see a little bit about hang on a second. His occupational trade. In Acts 18:3 it says, "And because he was of the same craft, he abode with them and wrought for by their occupation they were tent makers." Now, tent maker is a Hebraic idiom to say that one made talits, one made prayer shawls. The prayer shawl that one puts over their head was a slang called a tent, also a closet. So that hence we get the term prayer closet. So he was a Rav trained under Gamliel. He obviously knew how to make talits, how to make them properly, obviously how to tie tzitzit, and Acts 18:3 brings this about. Acts 22:3 talks about his childhood education, which I got into a little bit. He says, I am verily a man which am a Jew, born in Tarsus in the city of Cilicia, yet brought up in the city at the feet of Gamaliel. Now, Gamaliel is mentioned all throughout the Talmud, which is the compendium of the commentary of the Torah by the rabbis and sages. He was a very, very famous rabbi, very famous sage, and taught according to the perfect manner of the law, the Torah of the fathers, and was zealous toward God, as ye are this day. Even in Acts 5, we see that Gamaliel testifies to this fact. Let's see, it says, Then stood up in one of the council a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law. In other words, he had a doctorate, a master in the Torah, had in reputation among all the people, and he commanded to put the apostles forth a little space. He said unto them, Ye are men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be of somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered, and were brought to naught. And this man rose up, Judas of Galilee, in the days of the taxing, and drew away many people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many obeyed him, were dispersed. And now I say unto you, basically he's talking about the apostles. He's saying, look, there's others that come before these apostles. They prove to be false. Their sects, their clans, their peoples are no longer around. They came to nothing in Judaism. He said, refrain from touching these apostles, and let them alone. For if this counsel of work be of men, it will come to naught, just like the others. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it. So Gamaliel was in a way defending the apostles. Rav Sha'ul was zealous for Judaism, according to Galatians 1:13 and 14. For ye have heard of my conversation in time past in the Jews' religion, that's a bad translation from the King James, in Judaism, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and wasted it, and I profited in Judaism above many my equals in my own nation, being one more exceedingly zealous for the Pirkei Avot, for the traditions of my fathers. He became a believing Pharisee, as I mentioned in Acts 23:6. He was zealous for his fellow Jews, Romans 10:1. He was Torah observant, Acts 28:17. And it came to pass that after 3 days Rav Sha'ul called the chief of the Jews together, and when they were come together, he said unto them, Men and brethren, though I have committed nothing against the people, or the customs of the fathers. He didn't even break Torah. He didn't even break the traditions of the Jewish people. Yet I was delivered to prison from Jerusalem into the hands of the Romans. So at no time was Rav Sha'ul called into question for his Torah obedience or his commitment to the covenant. I'm going to end here, and I'm going to make a part 2 to this, and see you on the flip side. Shalom.